afternoon, sir. If you believe you can do so safely and responsibly, testifying without your mask would be our preference, but you're not forced to. That will be up to you.
Okay, I'll leave it on. Thank you.
Very good. Please proceed.
All right. Good afternoon. Could you please state your name, spelling both your first and last for the record?
Ryan Caputo, RyanCaputo.
How are you employed?
With the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources as a conservation warden.
As a conservation warden. And is that a sworn member of law enforcement?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you to pull that mic just a little bit closer.
Okay. Is this better?
Fans, yes.
Okay.
And in mid-July, July 14th to be exact, of 2021, were you working in your capacity as a DNR warden?
Yes.
And on that day, what was your assigned tasks or duties?
To help out the Dane County Sheriff's Office with searching a piece of state property for any evidence associated with the Halderson case.
Okay. And how did that search go about? How many coworkers were with you, and what was the plan?
As far as how many people were there, I don't remember. There were 3 other wardens that were there, and the plan was just to divide it up into 3 different parcels, essentially, and search those thoroughly, and I searched the southernmost area.
And how do you search those areas thoroughly?
By walking through them and trying to stay as close as possible to each other to make sure that you're not missing anything that might be between each other.
Okay. Just what is that area? How would you describe it to somebody who had never been there?
Yeah, it's part of the lower Wisconsin Riverway, so it's just wildlife area. A lot of trees, some open grassland type of stuff, and it leads up to the river. Pretty thick with weeds that time of year, in July. A lot of smartweed, pretty thick area overall.
Is it open to the public, private, or something else?
It's public land and is open to the public.
Okay. What sort of things do people use that land for if they visit it, if you know?
A lot of times it's hiking or going over to the river to go fishing, maybe even sightseeing, seeing bald eagles and so on. And then, any other use somebody could think of for it, I guess.
Okay. And then the winter, there's snowmobile trails in that area?
Yep, there's a snowmobile trail that runs through it.
Okay. And what town is it located near?
Well, it's located, I guess, in the town of Roxbury for the most part. I mean, there's a lot of different sections of it, but the biggest city would be Sauk City or Prairie du Sac.
Okay. And the search took place on July 14th?
Yes.
I'm going to have you look over. There's a large photograph there. Is that part of the area that you searched?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to do this a little bit differently today. In order for the jury to see more detail on the photos, we're actually going to hand everyone out a copy. I will go over the exhibits though first, and I'm going to present one of these pamphlets to you to make sure that the exhibits are what is in this booklet.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yes.
I'm going to present you with exhibits 125 through 131. Just as a group, in one sentence, not individually, how would you describe exhibits 125 through 131? You can look through them. That's perfectly fine.
So you want me just to describe it as a group, as to just...
Yep. What are those photos of?
This is just a representation of the area that we searched as well as what we found.
Okay. And that on the July 14th, 2021 search?
Correct.
And do those appear to be true and accurate photos of that, what you saw that day?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, I would move exhibit 125 through, you got these all out of order for me, 131.
No objection.
No objection.
Okay,
They are received
now,
into evidence.
Let's put them in order.
There you go.
Okay. Now what I need you to do is I'm giving you one of these booklets. I want you to just compare and make sure that the 125 here is what is 125 in the booklet.
To the best of my knowledge, it is, yes.
Okay, and let's continue on.
Same thing for 126. 127 looks to be correct. 128 looks to be correct. 129 looks to be correct. 130 looks to be correct. And 131 looks to be correct.
Okay. At this time, Your Honor, I would ask to distribute booklets containing exhibits 125 through 131 to each member of the jury.
Folks, we are doing this, or I should say the state is doing this in a slightly different procedure than other exhibits. And obviously, as you may gather, similarly to the presentation yesterday, I think the state intends to demonstrate a step-by-step look of the discovery, culminating in what was discovered, which of course becomes the most or more sensitive or disturbing of the photos. You'll have these in front of you instead of on the screen. The same admonition that I gave yesterday applies today. You have to be able to have said you saw it, but whether you then look away, close the booklet, look at the picture, examine, that's solely up to your discretion as a juror. I will only say this, don't turn ahead. And if you are going to engage in a closing of the booklet and then reopening to the next page, just make sure your hand stays in the proper place so that you know that I have to turn one more page and that you're not stumbling or going ahead, because I believe the state does want to present these to you in the order prepared in the booklet. You won't be keeping the booklets. They'll be returned when we're finished with this exhibit, but we're anticipating that this is an alternate method of showing things to you that we're going to attempt at this time. Go right ahead.
Yes, should allow for more detail observation. The exhibit number is in the lower right-hand corner. If you would take one and pass them on.
Whenever you're ready, counsel. Or were you going to take full? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If I look up, I'll actually see that we're still distributing. Thanks. Go right ahead.
All right. Warden, I would ask that you look at Exhibit 125, and could you explain to the jury what picture 125 is of?
The picture 125 is an aerial photo of, on the center of it, you can see where the body parts are located that myself and Kevin Gruber, who were part of the search party, what we located. The larger group of it, there's still another piece of human remains that were found that would be, if you're looking at the picture, if you look above it, you see a gap. It would be to the right of that, somewhere in that area. But this is the largest grouping, that red spot that you see.
Okay. And at this point, what did you think that red area was? Did you know when you first began?
Yes, when I approached it, I saw toes and a foot and part of a leg and so on, so I knew I had found human remains at that point.
Okay. Let's turn the page to Exhibit 126. Could you please describe for the jury what 126 displays?
Same thing as I had described before.
So again, the search area.
Correct. The search area, what we had located, and maybe a little bit of better definition, a different angle for sure. And this obviously just a little bit shortly after we had located the parts.
And let's flip the page to page 127. What area in Exhibit 127 is the remains, or how would you describe it?
Where you see the person wearing blue at the bottom of the photograph, kind of towards the center of it. If you go up on the page, you see a green tree, and then above that you see, I'd say it looks red in the photograph. You can see an outline, or you can see a human leg in there.
Okay. And let's flip to page 128. How would you describe Exhibit 128?
What I had found for human remains.
Okay, just a closer up view.
Correct.
And at this point, did you think it was one leg, two legs, or something else?
I didn't stick around long enough to figure it out.
Sure. And why was that?
Because it's gross.
Fair enough. You called the medical examiner.
Correct.
And
I
others.
had notified the sheriff's office what I had located, and it's theirs to take over from that point.
Sure. Exhibit 129, is that just a further zoomed in view?
Correct.
Turning to Exhibit 130, is that the general area of the location?
Yeah, it looks to be, a lot of the riverway down there looks very similar to that, but you can see kind of out in the waterway, you can see that piece of sand out there. That's very consistent with that portion of the riverway. There's an island out there.
All right. And then flipping finally to Exhibit 131. We have a picture of a singular tree.
Mm-hmm.
Now in the background of Exhibit 131, there's a white tent. What is the white tent?
The white tent is where the human remains were located.
Okay. And now I'm going to, at some point during this investigation where you showed pictures of a young man hanging from a tree.
I at least remember him being next to the tree, I think with his foot up next to it, yes.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to show you what we've previously seen as Exhibits 123 and 124. Are one or both of those the pictures that you were shown in the course of this investigation of this tree?
Picture 123 is yes. I do not recall 124.
Okay, fair enough. So picture 123, the one leg up. Mm-hmm. And in looking around that area, did you recognize this location?
Yeah, it appeared to be closer to the river from where we had been located at, where we had found the human remains.
Okay. And you found a tree that at least looked consistent with the tree pictured in Exhibit 123?
Yes, I was a forestry major at UW-Stevens Point, so I've been around trees a little bit, and I was able to look at the photograph and figure out it was an elm tree, or at least appeared to be an elm tree. And then there's a dot or a knob on the bottom of the tree that's very consistent with the photograph that you just showed me there.
Okay. Warden, I just have one or two basic questions about, that white tent area, the place where the human remains were found, how far away is it from that tree? Roughly.
Roughly, I'd say approximately 100, maybe 120 yards.
Okay. Does the DNR have a dive team?
No.
Does the DNR ever have civilians participate in searches in the water and in a diving capacity?
I don't know.
Okay. No further questions.
Cross-examination?
Good afternoon, Warden. I heard you use the word consistent when describing the tree in the photograph with the man and the tree that you found on the banks of the Wisconsin River. Is that right?
Yes.
So it's fair to assume that your testimony isn't that it is absolutely the same tree. Your testimony is that it's consistent.
It looks to be the same tree to me.
But you used the word consistent, correct?
If that's what you're saying, then I probably did, yes.
You don't know for certain that that's the same tree.
I can't say for certain that it's the same tree, but it looks to me like it is the same tree.
Now can you say that that photograph was taken very close in time to when you saw the tree?
Which photograph are you talking
The
about?
photograph of the young man that you compared to the trees in the area.
I don't know when that photograph was taken. I think I had been told maybe it was like a year before, but I don't recall for sure.
So your information as to when that photograph was taken comes from what you were told, not in your tree analysis skills, correct?
Can you repeat that question, please?
Sure. The tree that you found that's consistent to the tree in the photograph, you don't know whether that photograph was taken the same year as you found that tree or a different year that you found the tree based on what you were able to observe on the tree that you found, correct?
Correct. Their trees don't have dates on them. I would not be able to see exactly when the picture was to everything else. So, yeah, no.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused and released?
He may. And would you like me to collect